Hey, I'm Loke. Every 2 minutes, someone is diagnosed with cancer in the United Kingdom. That's nearly 990 new cases just in the UK alone. Cancer is a horrendous disease that affects everyone regardless of your age, sex, colour or creed. In these videos, I wish to raise the profile of Cancer Research UK and fight cancer with fun. Luke and I will be live streaming for Cancer Research UK in the near future, but we will have little impact alone. If you're inspired by these words to join us in this fight against cancer, please do get in touch. Because if we come together, we can beat cancer. I hope you enjoy the video. This one-shot opinion video features strong language and as such may not be suitable for everyone. You have been warned. Turfs fucking infuriate me, but let's not get ahead of myself. Good evening everybody, Loke here for another one-shot opinion video, and this week, what is my opinion? My opinion is LGBT plus pride parades need to refocus. Part 2! So yes, after the event of the London Pride Parade, I got into much more of a flap than I have any good reason to get, and that is because of the anti-trans protests that did occur. When I said that there should be more activism at a pride parade, that is not what I meant. Not at all, not one bit. It frustrates me on a fundamental level, and I have to explain why in this video, why pride parades need to refocus on themselves, get back to their roots, and just make sure this sort of thing does not happen. So let's actually have a look at a couple of the bits and pieces that did happen with this anti-trans protest. So this is a couple of bits from the Independent. I'll bring up the sort of like the headline here. So in this, anti-trans protesters disrupted the Pride in London parade, lying down on the ground at the front of the march until officials persuaded them to move on. Now that small group carried banners and flyers saying trans activism erases lesbians and described the trans movement as anti-lesbianism. Anti-lesbianism. Now this is a group that feels that TERFs, which is a term which has been shortened from trans exclusionary radical feminists, they believe that phrase is a slur and hate speech in itself. And yet, they are disrupting Pride, saying that trans activism erases lesbians. And they're saying that trans exclusionary radical feminist is not an applicable term and that it is a slur. What? No, I don't understand. That explains in a nutshell what they are doing. They are excluding trans individuals due to their own radical beliefs, and yet they were allowed to go ahead at the front of a whole pride parade, apparently due to high temperature. Due to high temperature. Did nobody see the banners that they were holding and think, oh yeah, like these banners are completely fine. They don't at all sort of like go on to say, oh, trans activism erases lesbians, and do slurs and gatekeep trans individuals from the LGBT community. What were organisers thinking when they let this group ahead of everybody else and let them lead the LGBT plus march? To let a hate group, nonetheless, lead this march. Now, they weren't immediately removed from the parade. They did get removed in the end, which is amazing. I'm so glad that did happen. But this is a group that told the LGBT outlet Pink News that they want to get the L out of Pride, and that a man cannot be a lesbian, and that a person with a penis cannot be a lesbian. Lesbian? My apologies. Lesbian. I'm getting very angry and I'm losing my words. Because what the actual fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? If a person self-identifies as male, female, or non-binary, regardless of their biological gender, and regardless of the genitalia that they have, then they are their self-identified gender. Gender and sexuality are independent of one another. You can have a penis, identify as a female, and be lesbian. You can be gay, be biologically female but identify as a male, have a vagina, and you're still gay. It's that fucking simple. It is not complicated. I don't understand. Do they not realise that London Pride was started by trans women of colour? Without trans females, they wouldn't have a pride in which to voice their hate speech in the first place. Do they not understand this? Now, I know what will be said about this video if trans exclusionary radical feminists are listening. Firstly, yeah, I said everything that I just said because that's my opinion, and I feel that you are being exclusionary of many people that are simply trying to live their lives. And yeah, I know what will be said. Because I'm biologically male, then my inherent male privilege prevents me from truly understanding, and that I should be quiet. Well, to that I will say I will not be fucking quiet. Everyone in the LGBT plus community has endured shit. Alright? Everybody. We've endured many years of hate crimes. We've endured people tearing us apart. We shouldn't be tearing each other apart. We should be building each other up to adapt and overcome these hateful groups that only wish to exclude our trans brothers, sisters, and all other identifying peoples. Because damn it, I just get so angry. Why is this a thing? Why do people just not understand this? Regardless of your gender, your biological gender, if you identify as another gender or not a gender at all, then that's what you are. And then gender, it frustrates me. Gender and sexuality are independent. I know I've already said that, but you really have to nail that in. That they are independent of one another. You can be trans and you can be a lesbian. You can be trans and you can be gay. You can be trans and you can be asexual. You can be trans and you can be demisexual. There are no limits to what this is. Why do we feel in the LGBT plus community that we have to exclude one another from things? It's just no. Sorry, I know this is an extreme. This is more of a rant, one-shot opinion. But this frustrates me on a fundamental level, and I have to get this out. Pride parades are a fundamental part of bringing together the LGBT plus community. Pride needs to refocus on being an all-inclusionary event that ensures hateful groups such as trans exclusionary radical feminists are removed, that they're not allowed to participate. Which luckily is slowly moving towards that. This group was removed, but they shouldn't have been allowed to march in the first place. There needs to be screening of what people are protesting and what activism is occurring at these events. There needs to be more constructive activism against things that actually matter, that actually affect the LGBT community. We already have so many hateful groups that aren't even in the LGBT community that are trying to tear us apart. Again, we should not be tearing one another apart from the inside. We need to remain together. Together we remain strong. It's that simple. Also, in addition to the last part of this one-shot opinion video, I found out I'm not the only one that feels London Pride marches are sort of like becoming more corporate. The veteran campaigner Peter Tatchell has exactly the same sentiments. Here's a couple of quotes of his from another article from the Independent. So they, which he refers to corporate sponsors, they've got the money, so they have huge extravagant floats that outshine and overwhelm the LGBT plus community groups. That is exactly the case. That is observed in many different prides. Again, he then goes on to say, many of the companies have de-gayed their floats. They don't mention LGBT plus, just pride. So again, we're just having that veneer of LGBT pride. We're not actually having LGBT pride at a pride event. It's not happening. And then he then continues to go on. Companies should be made to post how much they spend on rainbow marketing versus how much they donate to LGBT plus organisations. Now, I believe that was a tweet. Apologies, that was a tweet and not from Peter Tatchell himself. But that is a very interesting concept. Companies should be made to post how much they spend on rainbow marketing. And I believe with the Freedom of Information Act, that should actually be possible. So I might actually have a look into that, because that would be quite interesting. Incredibly interesting, in fact. Because, yeah, we have so many companies participating in Pride events that are saying about, oh yes, we are welcoming of the LGBT plus community. We participate in Pride. Well, how much do you actually donate to LGBT organizations? How much do you actually incorporate your business model into these organizations? Again, I would find that interesting, and I am glad that I am not the only one that feels that Pride is becoming more corporate, and that it is sort of losing its whole sort of like grassroots of like activism and not being part of a corporate sort of side of things. But I'm aware that I've flapped off on a tangent there. I'm just completely frustrated. I'm exhausted. I'm angry, and I just have to say all of that. Prides are currently a hot mess. They need to refocus back to their roots. They need to be more inclusionary. They need to get rid of the more corporate influence. Still retain it. Of course, we do have to actually find the money for the LGBT Pride parades. I'm not naive. I am aware that these things do cost money, but there needs to be more transparency with these companies, and there needs to be safeguards in place to make sure that LGBT Pride is LGBT first when it comes to advertising with these companies. But yes, what was my opinion? My opinion was LGBT plus Pride parades need to refocus, and that was why. This little bat is exhausted from being flappy, so I'm gonna have to leave the video there. Sadly, it does come to the shill bit of the video. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If not, it's perfectly fine as well. Those sorts of things can go and fuck off, much like trans exclusionary reactionary feminists, and just all the corporations that are de-gaying Pride, as Mr. Thatchell has stated, which is a very interesting way of putting how corporate sponsors are participating in Pride events. But yes, apologies for the strong language in this video. I just had to get that off my chest. I had to rant, and I didn't know how else to actually express my sentiments. But yes, thanks once again for watching our videos. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and good night.